The night cracked open with a sound that did not belong to the storm outside. It was smaller than thunder, softer than rain against tin, but it cut deeper than either. It was the sound of a child breaking, the kind that sneaks into a room and settles on your chest like a weight you cannot push away. In the dim hallway, a single father stood frozen, holding a doorframe as if it were the last solid thing left in his life, realizing that love sometimes arrives disguised as exhaustion and fear. What happened next would quietly reshape two lives, not with miracles or sudden riches, but with something far rarer, steady kindness in the dark. Before the story carries you any further, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the small choices that can change a life, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this grow stronger when they are shared. The man's name was Aaron, and he had learned to live on the edge of tiredness. Ever since his wife passed away 2 years earlier, the world had become a series of responsibilities stacked one on top of another, with no one to help carry them. He worked long hours at a warehouse, lifting boxes that felt lighter than the silence waiting at home. He cooked simple meals, washed tiny socks, signed school papers, and pretended he knew what he was doing. At night, when the house finally went quiet, he sat alone at the kitchen table, listening to the refrigerator hum, wondering how love could leave such a loud absence behind. His daughter, Lily, was 7, with eyes too observant for her age. She noticed things adults thought were invisible. She noticed how her father's shoulders slumped when he thought no one was looking. She noticed the unopened mail, the tired sighs, the way he stared at old photos as if they were windows to a warmer world. She had stopped asking when her mother would come back, but questions still lived inside her, curling up with her fears when the lights went out. That night, the storm had been relentless. Wind pushed against the walls, rain rattled the windows, and shadows stretched into shapes that frightened small minds. Lily lay awake in her room, counting the seconds between lightning flashes, her heart racing with memories she did not fully understand. She remembered hospitals, whispered conversations, and the day her father came home with red eyes and an empty car seat. Fear rose in her chest, not of the storm itself, but of being alone with it. Aaron had just sat down on the edge of his bed, boots still on, when he heard her footsteps. They were hesitant, uneven, like someone walking on a floor made of doubt. He turned, already feeling that familiar mix of worry and guilt, wondering what more he had failed to protect her from. When he saw her standing there, small and shaking, clutching the corner of her blanket, something inside him broke open. She did not use many words. She did not need to. Her face said everything. She needed closeness, safety, reassurance that the world had not completely fallen apart. For a moment, Aaron hesitated, not because he did not want to comfort her, but because he was afraid of doing it wrong. He worried about creating habits, about dependence, about whether he was strong enough to be both parents at once. But then he saw her eyes fill with tears, and the questions disappeared. He made space for her without thinking too much, the way love often works best. The bed that had felt too big for one adult suddenly felt just right for two hearts trying to steady each other. Lily curled up beside him, her breathing shallow at first, then slowly evening out as the storm outside lost its grip on her. Aaron lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening not to the rain but to the sound of his daughter finding peace. He realized that sometimes strength is not about standing tall, but about lying still so someone else can rest. That night changed something in him. It was not dramatic or obvious, but it was real. He understood that Lily was not asking for permission to be weak. She was asking for proof that love still existed in their broken little world. And by saying yes in the simplest way possible, he had answered more than she ever asked. The days that followed were still hard. Bills did not vanish. Work did not become easier. Grief did not suddenly loosen its grip. But something subtle shifted between them. Lily smiled more easily. She talked about school again, about drawings and friends and dreams. Aaron noticed that when he came home tired, she would sit quietly beside him, coloring, offering companionship without demands. They had become a team, not through speeches or promises, but through shared silence and trust. One evening, weeks later, Aaron received a call from Lily's teacher. She spoke gently, explaining that Lily had been withdrawn, sometimes falling asleep in class. Panic rose in Aaron's chest, the old fear that he was failing again. But then the teacher added something unexpected. Lily had written an essay about heroes, and instead of choosing a firefighter or a superhero, she wrote about her dad. She described how he worked hard, how he was always there at night, how he made the dark feel less scary. Aaron had to pull his car over because his hands were shaking too much to drive. He realized then that children do not measure love by perfection. They measure it by presence, by who shows up when it matters, by who stays. Aaron began to make small changes. He started leaving work on time instead of volunteering for extra shifts. He cooked dinners they could eat together at the table. He asked Lily about her day and listened, really listened, even when he was exhausted. On weekends, they walked to the park, sat on benches, watched clouds drift by. Life did not become easier, but it became fuller. There were nights when Lily still crept into his room, fear finding its way back like an old habit. Each time, Aaron welcomed her without hesitation. He learned that comfort does not weaken children, it strengthens them. It gives them a foundation from which to grow. Slowly, Lily began sleeping through the night again, her confidence returning as quietly as it had left. Years passed, marked by school projects, scraped knees, birthdays, and moments that seemed small at the time but later glowed with meaning. Aaron watched Lily grow taller, braver, more independent. He watched her face challenges with a resilience that surprised him, and he knew that some part of that strength was born on a stormy night, in a shared bed, in the simple act of choosing kindness over fear. One evening, long after Lily had grown out of needing comfort in the dark, Aaron sat alone again at the kitchen table. The silence was different, now. It was not heavy, it was peaceful. Photos on the wall showed a life rebuilt, not replaced, but honored and continued. He thought about how close he had come to pushing his daughter away that night, not out of cruelty, but out of confusion. He shuddered at the thought of what might have been lost. Lily, now a teenager, passed through the room, paused, and leaned down to hug him from behind. She did not say much. She did not need to. Love had become their shared language, spoken in gestures and understanding. As this story draws toward its end, take a moment to reflect. If this journey moved you, if it reminded you of someone you love, or a moment that changed you, please like the video, share it with others, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. And before the final words, here is a special request. Please comment below with a single word or short sentence about what this story made you feel. Your voice matters more than you know. Because in the end, the world is not changed by grand gestures alone. It is changed by tired parents choosing patience, by children daring to ask for comfort, and by ordinary people saying yes when it would be easier to say no. That night, a single father did not just offer a place to sleep. He offered safety, love, and a promise that even after loss, warmth can still be found. And sometimes, that is enough to change everything.